Ever noticed that we've got an electricity problem in South Africa? Why does South Africa suddenly have so much electricity? I mean, we've been through load shedding like you cannot believe, and now suddenly no load shedding. It's the weirdest thing on earth. Suddenly we've got too much electricity and too much electricity being pushed out there. And you have to ask the question, how does that even happen? How does it change so drastically from going from level 6, level 8 load shedding, 4-hour shifts of load shedding 3 times a day, to now suddenly no load shedding? Everything's great. We've got loads of electricity all of a sudden, like we used to have. Suddenly they're keeping load shedding at bay and everything is so much better. Look, I've had a look around and I've been wondering, why did we even have load shedding in the first place? And for those of you who are not in South Africa, who don't understand what load shedding is, let me put you in the picture, or take the picture away and make it total darkness. Yeah, that's load shedding, darkness. What they do is they switch the electricity off at certain periods of the day, and depending on the level, it might be 2 hours, it might be 4 hours, it might be 6 hours. They switch the electricity off because they don't have enough electricity supply for the whole country. So they pick areas and they switch the electricity off at that time in your area for that couple of hours. They do inform you that it's going to be switched off because so many people got equipment that was like blown up, or were going into a meeting and then suddenly darkness and that sort of thing. Wasn't good. But yeah, that's what load shedding is for those of you who don't live in South Africa and don't understand what load shedding was or is it coming back. Now there's talk of something called load reduction. In other words, load reduction, instead of switching you off completely, will be reducing the amount of power that goes to that area for that period of time. In other words, you can still run some lights, a TV and that sort of thing, which is much better and it is great. But we still have to get to the crux of the matter as to why did we have load shedding in the first place. And it would appear to have been a lot to do with some kind of crime syndicate or corruption in the background, where people that were trying to make money were literally breaking equipment and so that they could get jobs to repair it, and then get backhanded or give backhanders to the people working in the Eskom departments, and then try and have this equipment repaired, and they would charge R1 million for a 200 Rand job. Ridiculous things, ridiculous scenarios that were actually going on in the past. There was a whole mafia running this whole scenario. So the electricity was literally broken deliberately so that they could enrich themselves one way or another. Now, the problem we've got now, obviously, is the electricity price has increased. It's going up because they're struggling. But one of the main reasons for that, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, or I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the railway system doesn't work anymore. It's gone. It's disappeared. Every single town going through the Free State, going through most towns everywhere, the train stations are gone. The railways are not working. There was areas where there were 4 railway lines running together and not one of them is working. They're rusting. The trains can't get there. The trains don't get there. And oddly enough, railway tracks have been stolen. Goodness me, guys. Railway tracks have been stolen. And you know what it's done to those cities? Those little towns? There's so many of these little towns going all the way up there. And if you go into those towns, as a result of the railway not working anymore, the mills and things like that, where they put all the farm mealies and that sort of stuff, they used to load onto the trains, and now they have to load onto trucks, and that's expensive because now you have to pay a truck driver, you have to pay for a truck, and every single truck is one load, where you could have had one train diesel engine pulling 100 trucks with no extra drivers or trucks behind them, and it would have cost you much less to move that by train than it is costing you to move it by truck. So these towns are deteriorating and slowing down because there's no money in the town anymore. The roads they've got no roads. They've got dirt roads in the towns. These are towns that had beautiful tar roads and beautiful shops and things, and they've just deteriorated to the point where first it's potholes, giant potholes, and then there's just no roads in the town because there's no more infrastructure. Now, a similar thing may have happened to Eskom as well with the coal. They're not getting their coal delivered by train anymore because there is no train. The train's disappeared. They're getting delivered by truck. And I've seen these trucks lining up down the road. I mean, it's longer than a train. Truck after truck after truck after truck after truck delivering coal. And each truck has to be paid for. Each truck has to have a driver paid for. Each truck needs to, how can I put this? It needs to move. And it costs, I'm sure, hundreds of times more to get that coal delivered. Now, one of the things they were doing when we had load shedding, I know, is stealing the coal and putting, well, you were supposed to use an A-grade coal or something to that effect, and they were putting really rubbish coal in the trucks, and they were like putting stones in between and all kinds of stuff, and it damages the equipment again. So that was another cause for our load shedding. So now they've tried to curb that one way or another, but now you've got truck unions getting involved and all these different scenarios which are affecting the overall picture of how the coal gets to Eskom and gets to the sites where they need it. They used to say it was raining and the coal got wet, and that's just laughable, guys. How can you have an electricity provider that says the coal got wet? I mean, that's a joke beyond a joke. It's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. So I believe that one of the main factors behind our struggles has got a lot to do with our railway system, which has disappeared. Our railway system has disappeared off the map. Transnet has done nothing to fix it and make it better. It's cost of, I don't know how much it would cost just to get that thing back on the road, but they seem to have decided that it's not that important. Now, if you think about it, a railway for a country is probably one of the most important things we can have. We really need to have our railway back. We need to put it back in the system. All those little towns are starving. All those little towns where the farms are dropping dead. Guys, without the farmers, we starve. We starve if we don't have farmers. And if we don't have that food transported to the correct places for us, then we don't have any food, guys. We can't be importing food if we don't have any money as well. So just bear that in mind. Keep that in mind. We need those towns to operate. Every single one of those towns, every single one of those towns had a big swimming pool, and all of the swimming pools are closed. Now, I can understand that you don't want to pay to keep the swimming pools open, but the mere fact that that's happened means there isn't money to pay for the swimming pool to be open in the first place. Why is that? Because the town has lost all its infrastructure, because the trains aren't running through the town, and because it's all dying at the end of the day. So that needs to be brought back on form. How are we keeping our lights on at the moment? How is the electricity staying on? Well, maybe they're just paying for more trucks. I know they asked for a 36% increase in the Eskom tariff. Can you imagine a 30% increase on your already very expensive electricity? Because believe me, guys, electricity is really expensive. And adding 36% to that I don't think most people can afford that kind of increase in their electricity. It's already terrible. And the reason for that increase, I can see what it is. It's very simple. It's all got to do with the infrastructure that has fallen apart. Now, thanks to someone that broke our railway, it's costing us in so many other areas where we really need that to operate. So I think that's one of the main causes. I think that's one of the big things behind it. Why have we got so much electricity now? I really couldn't possibly tell you what they've done to correct it, but they've done something in the background that's made things a hell of a lot better and a hell of a lot easier. Maybe we're getting support from outside. They did say they would help us one way or another. Maybe they've sent us a few transformers or something, or things that are going to help us, and that's great. But yeah, where do we go in the future? We need to fix the infrastructure, and I'm hoping that our new government of national unity will get it together and get it sorted out and get this country back on track. Can you imagine Japan without a railway? They got such a beautiful country with such a beautiful railway. Here we sit. The railway we had that was working is literally gone. How do you break a railway system completely? It's a joke, guys. It's an absolute ridiculous joke. We need to get it back on form. Guys, thanks for watching. Till next week, cheers, and hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to watch the last one. Ciao and bye.